Guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you, well, it's about 7 o'clock doing this video in my time, at early evening time, I guess you could say, for a worst albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. And like I said, this is for the worst albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. When I mean so far, I mean we haven't gotten done with the year yet. But this is the so far list. So I'm going to discuss from 1 to 5 what's on the list and let you know my thoughts on it, because this one doesn't have a big list, so it's probably not going to be a very long video, but it might drag out due to me ranting about stuff. So let's start with the first one, which is Skillet at number 1, Dominion. This album was atrocious. I personally can't stand this album at all. The reason why is because it's all cheery. Oh, we're gonna shout our freedom. Oh, we're gonna praise the Lord kind of shit and rebel. Not to say that in a bad way for praising the Lord, but if you preach about it too much in your fucking songs, it's not gonna execute very well. Like, this overall production of this album is a mess. And the mixing is totally off. Like, Shout Your Freedom was kind of a mess, honestly. I think it had a catchy tune, but no, the mixing to it with the electronic music in the background was not sounding very good. So, yeah, and the final song was such a disaster. It was a disaster piece, honestly. It was so bad that I couldn't stand White Horse. Fuck that song. So, yeah. For this album, I'm still giving it the same rating of a 4.5 out of 10. It was pretty bad. It's not very good. It's gonna make it on my worst albums of 2022 by the end of the year, so you'll be seeing that probably on a certain spot at the end of the year. But worst albums of 2022 doesn't happen until November for the actual video of what I listened to over the year. So, yep, Skillet Dominion was really bad. The title track was okay, but there were some songs I could appreciate, like Valley of Death was actually not too bad. Um, and Beyond Incredible was decent, and Destiny was alright, and also, what was that song? Refuge? That actually was pretty solid. And Ignite was decent. It wasn't the best song at all, maybe average at least. I wasn't a big fan of Ignite. It sounded too radio friendly. It just was an anthemic rock song to play at a concert for their fans to like, but yeah, even the first two songs, Standing in the Storm and also what was that song? Surviving the Game. Bad songs to start the record. So, it wasn't this album was set up to fail. From when the first single came out, I was so not loving it. I was like, this is atrocious and disappointing. So Skillet really let me down this year. And for that, Dominion is getting a bad rating still. And also John Cooper preaches on his fucking uh Cooper Stuff channel or whatever, and I'm just like, seriously, dude, you're gonna defend Joe Rogan when he fucked his own career up and said a lot of fucking racist shit? You're gonna defend that asshole? I'm like, fuck you very much, dude. That's just what I believe. And if you don't agree with my views, then you can get fucked. Basically, you can take the highway and get fucked. Uh, or whatever. Because, yeah, Skillet Dominion is a bad album. That is what I'm trying to say. I know I've been ranting on this for a bit, so now I'm going to get to the next one. So at number 1, I picked Skillet Dominion. because it was the first bad album I heard this year. It was not good. So White Horse really ruined the album for sure. Guns N' Roses at number 2 with Hard School EP. They're not this. I'm not feeling for it. The live versions for the songs were pretty atrocious too. Can't remember all the songs that were on this EP, but I basically remember there was like 4 songs, and I really did not like this EP. And Axl Rose sounded bad with his vocals. So yeah, I don't think I got much more to say on this, but for what it went for, it was not a good EP. It was really bad. So I'd probably give it now like a 5 out of 10 still. It's still a bad album. Next we have Weezer with Seasons Spring EP at number 3. And this one is bad too. The first song was not very good. The Shakespeare Makes Me Happy thing, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, honestly? I'm just thinking to myself, what the hell is this shit? The opening night song is where the Shakespeare Makes Me Happy thing. I'm like cringing, like, what the fuck did I get myself into with Weezer this time around? I know this is supposed to be a upbeat kind of brings a lot of life to this record or extended play, but this did not do so well. So Weezer kind of fucked up on this album, or this EP, I meant to say. So, in my personal opinion, and keep in mind through this whole video, if you're watching it, I'm just expressing my take on what I thought of Skillet, what I thought of Guns N' Roses, and now Weezer Season Spring EP review. If you haven't checked out that review, definitely go check it out. I think I was doing something that day, if I remember correctly. There was a lot going on that day, and sorry about the pop or crack or whatever. That was my knuckle that I popped. The sound of drums was boring. All This Love was boring. It was disappointing. There was a lot of disappointing tracks that really ruined this EP for 7 songs. So 5 out of 10 for this EP still. I didn't like it. Next is Machine Gun Kelly with Mainstream Sellout at number 4. I think the song maybe has grown a liking to me. It's not a perfect song in any way, but it's decent. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And Wall of Fame was decent, interlude, but everything else on this EP, or not EP, this album, this 16-track album, was bad. Born with Horns was average. It wasn't the best song, in my opinion, but it was pretty cringy at times, depending on which area of the song sounded the best and the worst. So it had its positives and negatives with Born with Horns, the track itself. Mainstream Sellout, the title track, is very bad. I'd give it a 1.5 out of 5 now. I do not like what he's singing in the song. God Save Me, he sounded really bad in this song. So fuck this album for sure. Machine Gun Kelly, also known as Colson Baker, really tanked on this album and ruined it big time. He's sounding even worse than he did in Tickets to My Downfall, which actually is better than this album, but not to a standard where I love Tickets to My Downfall. I still think it's a bad album, in my opinion, but he can't even play guitar either. He just plays certain riffs and is singing horribly, too. Like, his vocals don't change in this whole album. It's the fucking same shit. Emo Girl was just repetitive bullshit, honestly, where it's just I fell in love with an emo girl thing, and that gets caught in your head, and that is fucking annoying, honestly. So 5150 is bullshit too. Fuck that song, 2 out of 5. Paper Cuts, the album edit, the album version is not very good. I do not like it at all, one bit. So yeah, for that song, 1 out of 5. WW4, World War 4 is pretty bad. So 2 out of 5. That's what I gave it. Drug Dealer was boring. Lil Wayne's verse was crap. And honestly, this was the worst fucking album this year. Probably the second worst album this year. And the third worst album is Skillet so far. And you'll be surprised who the worst of all is for this year so far. So I'm gonna breeze through the last few songs that I listened to. Twin Flame was okay. It was just boring, honestly. It's not the best song. And Fake Love Don't Last was okay too. I wasn't feeling for that song as much, but it's okay. It's still an underwhelming track at times. A was annoying and cringy, so 0.5 out of 5 still. There were some moments where I was like, what the fuck did I just listen to? So it's about 2.5 minutes of bullshit for A. Sid and Nancy is the worst fucking song. The lyrics are crap. And Die in California was boring. Sid and Nancy's getting a 1.5 out of 5. So yeah, this album really tanked itself, meaning it went downhill real fast. Probably the worst thing this year so far. So Machine Gun Kelly, also known as Colson Baker, you fucked this album a new asshole. Or ripped this album a new asshole. And for that, you are the second worst. Your album is the second worst album this year in my list. So yeah, congratulations. You made it to on the worst albums of 2022 so far this year. And now at number 5 is Kid Rock with Bad Reputation. Fuck this guy. His album sucked big time. I ranted on it. If you want to go check out my rant video I did a few weeks ago on April 9th, you can definitely go check it out. Bad Reputation was such horseshit. I didn't like We the People, the Let's Go Brandon thing, where he's like, Let's go Brandon. I'm like, oh my god. Stop spreading your Republican views on a fucking song. No one wants to hear that shit anymore. It's 2022 and you're acting like a fucking child, dude. Grow the fuck up, honestly, and act your age. So, yeah. The dude's 50 years old and he acts like a fucking immature child. So, yeah, fuck you for that, Kid Rock. Fuck your album, too. It's such bullshit. And it's the worst album this year so far. So, yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it for the worst albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. Comment below and let me know what you guys thought of this worst albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. And let me know what your list of worst albums are so far this year for worst albums of 2022, if you have a list for it, and what albums you consider to be your worst albums. If you did enjoy this worst albums of 2022 so far part 1 video, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. I already got through the first quarter with 5 albums being bad, so at least that's better than having a lot more albums, because to be honest, the movies are a lot worse this year. And one movie that I tried reviewing that I had to take down that video is gonna be on that list, and for certain reasons, because I deem it to be on that list, and you'll find out what that movie is in the coming week or so, because I'm not doing the movie section of worst to best until like next week or so. But anyways, I know I've been ranting for about probably 15 minutes now. And I'm sorry about that. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. I'll have another video coming out maybe tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow morning, I think. Probably for the okay to meh albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. And there's a few on there that I consider to be okay to meh. Meaning they run from being okay or in between. Meh is like an in between album where it's good and bad. It has its flaws, but also has its good moments at times too. So that's when I say meh in my videos, it's like in between. Like it could be good or bad at times, but also I'm in the middle with what I feel about the albums. So that's what 6 out of 10 ratings I give them for meh ratings. But still, that's how I define it on my channel. So hopefully you can understand that. I hope you enjoyed this pretty long video for the worst albums of 2022 so far, part 1 video. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. I almost forgot what the title of the video was. So stay safe, take care. Part 2 of this worst albums of 2022 so far will be later in the summer, so definitely tune into that. And as always, I will see you in my next review.